Welcome back to our series of conversations with Valley Mayors, and we're talking today to Penticton Mayor Andrew Jakubeit. I want to talk about some social issues, maybe particularly affordable housing, which is an ongoing issue throughout BC and in Penticton as well. What is the city doing to address the affordable housing needs in the community?
Well, actually, during the last budget speech, Penticton was one of the few communities mentioned in there, and we're quite happy or proud to have that partnership with the province, because they came on board, and we have 72 units of affordable housing happening, well, actually starting this later on this year. We have a task force that is on affordable community or affordable housing, and really the mandate was for young families and the working poor to really focus on that. And quite often we get drawn into social housing, like for homeless, and that's hopefully going to be stage 2. We really want to focus on providing that young families, working poor environment, so they have a chance to use Penticton as their home base and plan their life here and raise their family here, those sorts of things. There's been significant interest about affordable housing. There's been a big push about dealing with homelessness as well, and so that hasn't been forgotten about. I think instead of the city being the champion on that, we want to help facilitate a lot of the different nonprofits and faith-based groups to sort of get in a room, because a lot of them are trying to find a solution, not realizing there's another group that's also trying to find a solution. Right. So if they're all in one room, perhaps they could actually find a strategy that makes sense, that they could build a sort of a business case to go to levels of government, whether it's the city or the province, and saying, geez, if we built this affordable housing complex for this demographic, here's a business case behind why it would be more cost effective doing it that way than the traditional way of dealing, let's say, with homeless, hospital visits, and all those other concerns that
right.
cause every taxpayer money. So I think that's exciting, because there is some momentum building on trying to address that. And
so is that something that the city is actively involved in, trying to bring those groups together?
Yes, there's been a couple of city representatives that sit on some of these committees. I've had a couple mayor's breakfasts and with stakeholders to try to get them. I've volunteered to sort of help facilitate getting them all into one room and try to work. We've had the United Way come forward and say, hey, I'm happy to help champion that cause, or help bring people together and help build a business case for how this may look for the future. So that's exciting. We're trying to get that happening. We've had some people come talk to us about tiny houses, and
right.
Could we actually make a tiny town community, and what demographic would that target?
So that's where you're looking at, quite a bit smaller than traditional houses that are being constructed. It's a movement that I've been reading about.
Well, I think if you're really going to make a dent on affordability, people have to get past this notion of my dream home has to be 3,000 square feet.
Right.
And be that a senior, be it a young family, a single, you need to, I don't want to say lower your expectations, but obviously a 3,000 square foot home doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very expensive, and can you make do with a smaller footprint? And if it's beside downtown or parks, then you can use some of those amenities to offset what you may not have in a yard, that kind of thing. So I think there's a shift to sort of looking at densification, and the city's been very aggressive with carriage houses and allowing secondary suites and duplexes, and allowing for more densification on smaller lots, especially in particular around the downtown core, because that's where densification can happen. I think that's going to help with affordability and making more homes affordable for families.
I'm talking about affordable living. I guess there's a perceived high cost of living in the Okanagan. People refer to it as like the sunshine tax in terms of like lower wages and things. Is there anything that the city is working on, or do you think that's a reality, or is it an issue that you're dealing with?
I don't think it's as a reality as much as it used to be, because we're getting more professionals coming from all over the walks of life to sort of set up shop here in the Okanagan, and because as long as you have internet, you can work from wherever, and they're coming here because of lifestyle. And for some, there's probably is a little bit of a pay cut coming here, and we're trying to build industry in general, so people get paid a bit more and can afford to raise their families here and live here. The city is trying to be aggressive with our affordable housing, and we have a set of task force that's sort of focused on affordable communities, to making it more affordable for everyone to be able to not just exist but enjoy life. We do have a wonderful area and lifestyle, and we want to focus on that and empower people to enjoy that sort of thing. But we're limited, and you know, a lot has to do with partnerships from the various levels of government to kind of come on board and help with that. So I think it's a collective effort that has to happen.
Right. Now, obviously, the city gets, you've been talking about improving business to help improve the city. How do you balance that demands or the interests of business versus the interests of like the most vulnerable citizens?
Well, I think building a strong economy is going to lead to a strong community, and so if the business community is thriving, they're more apt to sort of donate to the service clubs or to the nonprofits that really are the fabric of our community. They're providing the services, you know, feeding the homeless, providing services for low-income families and individuals. So I think you have to be mindful of all factors, but you know, that's why our affordable task force is focusing on young families and working poor, because we really need to have that strong base and a strong nucleus and start growing our population, but in tandem also trying to be aware of vulnerable persons, and you know, we do working with the RCMP on sort of adaptation of the CAR 40 program, so you actually have a health nurse working with, so dealing with mental health issues.
And they do ride-alongs with the RCMP out on.
So you know, we're recognizing mental health is a large issue. Right. I know in meeting with Interior Health, they recognize that the mental health and their mandate from the province is to do more for mental health. Right. And so they're just developing new programming as well, and we're trying to not influence, be part of that conversation. So you know, our community becomes a bit stronger.
Right. Excellent. Of course, Canada has been welcoming Syrian refugees over the last little while. We've been doing some stories on that here on Shaw, and we're just wondering, you know, what kind of work can the city do to get involved with the groups that are helping bring Syrian refugees?
Well, you know, we have the South Okanagan Immigrant Community Services office in Penticton, and they've been working very diligently on helping facilitate and provide some help and programming. Right now, we've had some conference calls with Interior Health about the whole process, and we haven't had a lot of sort of requests. And at the staff level, we've basically committed to some transit passes and community center passes for families to come in for the first 6 months to help them ease with their transition and you know, simulate in the community. Apart from that, we haven't really, as a council, been lobbied or asked for, and Naramata, which is just outside of Penticton, you know, they're getting ready to get some of their first families. They've been quite excited about having that opportunity. So, you know, I think a lot of the refugees and families have been coming to areas outside of the Okanagan. It's just now starting to come into the Okanagan, and really the request to communities to step up or to participate hasn't really been formalized. Right. I think everyone's trying to make it work, and there's been a lot of community support to help it happen.
Excellent. Now, when we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more to Penticton Mayor Andrew Jakubeit, so stick around.